Alright, welcome back to the Sex and the City series, and we're on the last chapter for the night, which is going to be chapter 19. And like I said, these last few chapters we've realized that Carrie is really starting to take a toll on Mr. Big not asking her to marry her, basically. She's just trying to figure out, like, what is going on. Why haven't you asked me this question, blah, blah, blah. But, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen most of this series by now, of course you're going to be confused and not know what's going on. So be sure to go back on my YouTube channel and check out chapters 1 through 18 here in the Sex and the City book. We are almost done, you guys. Almost done. Almost done. We're on chapter 19, and there's, let's see how many more chapters. It goes till about 27. So we're almost there. So tomorrow I'm actually going to read you guys 3 more chapters, just so that we can get through this book, because like I said, I'm very excited about starting the Titanic series. The Sex and the City series has been fun, but I think that I can have a lot more fun with the Titanic series because it's something that I know more about, that I was obsessed with for the longest time. I can certainly be more entertaining with it. And like I said, this Titanic series is going to involve movie clips, reenacting movie scenes, trivia questions, the book reading, comparisons, documentary stuff, all kinds of stuff. Who knows what I'll have planned for it, but it's going to be fun. So I have a link right underneath this video. This is my advertisement video just to get you into the mood of the Titanic series coming soon. So be sure to check that video out, you guys. In the meantime, we are continuing with the Sex and the City series, and this is chapter 19, Manhattan Psycho Moms Go Gaga for Goos. Mr. Big calls, only a little pissed off, from China. He sent his luggage via an express delivery service, and now it's lost, and he's sitting in his hotel room with only a pair of jeans and a shirt with no clean underwear. If this happened 5 years ago, someone would have been fired, he says. But I've changed, just the new me. If they can't deal with me in dirty jeans, fuck 'em. Guess what, Carrie says. Your friend Derek called. He said Laura is trying to get pregnant and he doesn't want her to, so every night he pretends to come but doesn't. Then he goes into the bathroom and jerks off. And every night she's watching you and your baby videos. What a wuss, says Mr. Big. And he says he can't do it because he's not far enough along in his career to afford a kid. And how about you, Mr. Big asks in his sing-song way. Oh, I'm fine, Carrie says darkly. I think I might be pregnant. A baby? We're going to have a baby, says Mr. Big. Carrie isn't sure what to think. You see, things happen to people when they have kids in New York. Some parents remain normal, but others decidedly do not. They go a little bit crazy. Take all that energy and aggression, those hang-up and unresolved issues that go into one's career, and imagine applying them to a child. When it comes to kids, people who were once garden variety New York City neurotics can become, well, just plain crazy. That was evidenced immediately when Carrie went to brunch at the Soho Loft for her friends Packard and Amanda Deal. Packard and Amanda, normal, are the parents of Chester, who was marching around the loft banging an umbrella on the floor. One mother, not so normal, couldn't help but point out what he was. Parallel playing and not sharing. But it's okay because he's only one and no one expects him to share his toys. Yet. Like most couples who suddenly have children, the Deals have mysteriously taken on a whole new group of friends who also have kids. How does this happen? Did Packard and Amanda meet them at some early admission nursery school gathering? Or were they always friends who, having kids, kept Amanda and Packard on the back burner until they caught up? The newfound friends include Jody, who insisted that everyone give her only white baby clothes because she believes that dye in clothing will cause an allergic reaction on her baby's skin. Suzanne, who won't let her nannies wear perfume because she doesn't want to come home and find her baby smelling of someone else's cheap cologne, and Marianne, who kept firing babysitters secretly on purpose until she finally just had to quit her job to take care of the kids. That kind of behavior is not limited to mothers. After all, isn't there something just a wee bit nutsy about fathers and sons who dress in identical Patagonia jackets with matching rollerblade helmets? Or the father who is kissing his son repeatedly on the head in between holding his little mitts in his hand and dancing around the child's stroller? If it's possible for a 2-year-old to look embarrassed, the kid does. Explain. All you have to do is have one of these and then take 3 or 4 years off. Of course, being crazy about your kid and being just plain crazy are two slightly different things. Taken to extremes, there is only one word for a certain kind of New York parenting. Psycho. You don't know who it will strike or what form it will take. But, said Packard, it's not about loving or caring. It's about obsession. Alexandra. Carrie was sitting on the couch in the loft talking to a woman who appeared fairly ordinary. Becca had straight blonde hair and a sort of long, thin nose that makes you think it could suck martinis out of a glass on its own. She just moved into a new apartment in the East 70s and was exploring the pros and cons of hiring a decorator. One friend couldn't get this decorator to stop buying things. It was awful. When suddenly she was interrupted by a 5-year-old girl in a frilly dress and a black ribbon in her hair. "Mommy, I want the tit," demanded the child. "Alexandra!" Why is practically every kid named Alexander or Alexandra these days? Becca said in a strange whisper. "Not now. Go and watch videos." "But he's having titty milk," said the child, pointing to a woman who was nursing a baby in the corner. "He's a baby, a little bitty baby," said Becca. "You can have juice." "I don't want juice," Alexandra said. She actually had her hands on her hips. Becca rolled her eyes. She stood and hauled the little girl into her lap. The girl immediately started fussing with her mother's blouse. "Are you still breastfeeding?" Carrie asked, as politely as possible. "Sometimes," Becca said. "My husband wanted to have another child right away, and I didn't. It's so much work having a kid in New York, isn't it, you little monster?" She gazed down at her child, who was now sucking her thumb, staring up at her mother, waiting for the unbuttoning. The child turned to Carrie, fixing her with an evil eye. Titty milk, she said. "Come on, Alexandra. I'll take you to the bathroom," said Becca. "We keep meaning to stop this, don't we?" The child nodded. Becca wasn't the only mother of the party having problems getting an appropriate grip on her relationship with her child. Off in the bedroom, Julie, a smart, dark-haired woman who manages a restaurant, was pierced next to her 6-year-old son. Barry is an adorable child, bearing an uncanny resemblance to his mother, with his dark curls, but he didn't look happy. He clung to Julie ferociously. When someone else tried to talk to her, he crawled over her. "Oh, get off me. You're such a pain," Julie said to Barry, but she didn't really do anything about it. Barry won't play with the other children, nor will he let Julie talk to any adults. Later on, Carrie found out that it's always like this with the two of them. They go to parties, sometimes adult parties, and talk to only each other. She also learned that Julie keeps a mattress in Barry's room. Most nights she sleeps on the mattress. Julie's husband sleeps in the other room. They are planning on getting divorced. "Well, that's pretty normal," said Janice, a corporate lawyer, who is one of the few psycho moms who has no problem admitting it. "I love my son," she said, "and he's 11 months old. He is a god, and I tell him every day. The other day I found him in his crib saying, 'Me, me, me.' I was driven to have a baby since I was 30, she continued. So when I finally had him, she's now 36, I was like, this is my calling in life. I'm a mom. I wasn't going back to work. But frankly, after 3 months, I knew I had to go back to work. I'm in his face too much. In the park. I'm jumping up and down in front of him. The nannies think I'm crazy. I kiss him 1,000 times a day. I can't wait to get home to him, give him a bath. His body makes me crazy. I never felt this way about any man." Janice went on to say that if she needs Andy glance at another child's toy, she has to go out and buy it for him. One time she thought he was looking at something called the Exorcisor. She finally found it on 14th Street, and she was running down 14th Street with it on her head because she couldn't get a cab, and she couldn't wait to bring it home to him. People were literally pointing at me on the street, she said. Everyone thought I was insane. Then I got home and I gave it to him and he starts crying. Why is she like this? It's something about New York, she said. She shrugged. It's competitive. I want my son to have everything everybody else has, and more. Plus, I always wanted a boy. Sons always take care of their mothers. The nanny camera. In other words, after years of men who don't make commitments and can't be depended on, a son becomes the man's substitute. Oh yeah, said Janice. You can't trust men. You can't trust anyone who isn't your blood. My husband is really a second-class citizen, she said. I used to be pretty crazy about him, but then the baby came along. Now it's like, could you please get me a Diet Coke? I tell him to buzz off. Meanwhile, a small, worried crowd had gathered in the middle of the loft. Wobbling a bit was a tiny girl wearing pink ballet slippers and a tutu. Brooke insisted on wearing her ballet outfit today. Isn't it adorable? Said a tall, beaming woman. When I tried to put pants on her, she started crying. She knew she had to wear a ballet outfit today so she could put on a performance. Didn't she, Pumpkin? Didn't she, Pumpkin? The woman stooped, her hands clasped to her chest, her head cocked, and her face frozen in a large fake smile itches from the child's face. Then she began making all gesturing motions. Blow a kiss, she said. The little girl smiled fixedly, brought her little palm to her mouth, and then the whole shed out air between her lips. The mother screamed wildly. She curtsies too, Amanda said with some derision to Carrie. She does tricks. Her mother got Brooke on the cover of one of those baby magazines, and since then she goes nuts. Every time we call her, she's rushing Brooke off to a go see. She's with the modeling agency. I mean, she's cute, but... Just then another mother walked in, holding the hand of a 2-year-old boy. Look, Garrett. Table. Table, Garrett. Can you say table? What do we say at table? Eat, Garrett. We eat at a table. Can you spell table? Table. Garrick. Rug. Garrick. R-U-G. Rug. Garrick. Amanda started making onion dip. Excuse me, said Georgia, a woman in a checkered suit. Onion dip? Just to be sure to keep it away from the kids. The salt and the fat makes them nuts. The sentiment, however, did not prevent her from dipping her finger into the heinous concoction and sticking it in her mouth. Hey, have you guys checked out the Sutton gym? Georgia asked. It's fabulous. You have to take Chester to the Sutton. It's like a David Barton gym for kids. Has he started to talk yet? If he has, maybe we can make a play date. Rosalie is nearly 1, but I want to start her on improving play dates. I also recommend the baby massage class at the 92nd Street Y. Very bonding. You're not still breastfeeding, are you? I didn't think so. Georgia extracted another glob of onion dip. Say, how's your nanny? Fine, Amanda said, glancing at Packard. She's from Jamaica. We're lucky to have her, Packard said. Yeah, but are sure she's taking good care of her little Chester, Georgia asked. He seems fine to me, Packard said. Yes, but I mean good care, Georgia said, looking at Amanda meaningfully, at which point Packard slipped away. You can't be too careful with these nannies, Georgia said, leaning in toward Amanda. I went through 11 nannies. Finally, I got the spy cam. Spy camera, Carrie asked. Georgia looked at Carrie as if seeing her for the first time. You don't have kids, do you? Anyway, I thought it was going to cause a fortune, but it didn't. This friend of mine saw it on Oprah. A guy calls to your house and sets it up. You can watch your nanny for 5 hours. I called mine and said, what did you do today? She said, oh, I took Jones to the park, then we played. It was all a lie. She hadn't even left the house. All she did all day was watch TV and talk on the phone. She practically ignored Jones the whole day. I got all my girlfriends doing it. One of them watched the nanny trying to dismantle the spy camera. Wow, said Amanda. I'm going to get sick, Carrie thought. Married sex. Carrie went into the bathroom in Packard and Amanda's room. Julie was still in the bedroom with Barry. He was lying on the bed with his head in her lap. Becca and Janice were in there too, talking about their husbands. Let me tell you something about married sex, Becca said. What's the point? What's the point of a husband, Julie said. I mean, who needs 2 babies? I totally agree, said Janice. Except that now I want to have another baby. I was thinking of getting rid of my husband, but now I'm not sure what I want to do yet. Julie leaned over her son. When are you going to grow up, baby? Baby? Carrie went back into the living room. She walked over to the window for some fresh air. Somehow, Garrick had become detached from his mother and was standing, looking lost in the corner. Carrie leaned over. She took something out of her purse. Hey, kid, she said, motioning. Come here. Curious, Garrick wandered over. Carrie held up a small plastic package. Condom, Garrick, she whispered. Can you say condom? C-O-N-D-O-M. If your parents had used one of these, you might not even be here. Garrick reached out of the plastic package. Condom, he said. 2 days later, Amanda called Carrie. I've just had the worst day of my life, she said. My nanny has a kid, a son 3 months older than Chester. Her kid got sick, so I had to stay home. First, I tried taking him to the park. I didn't know where the gate was to the playground, and I felt totally embarrassed because all the other nannies were already inside and I couldn't figure out how to get in. They were all looking up at me. Who are you? Then Chester wanted to go on the slide, like 20 times. I kept looking up the big clock on 5th Avenue. 5 minutes had passed. I swung Chester on the swing. Another 5 minutes. I let him play in the sandbox. Then more sliding. A total of 15 minutes had passed. Haven't you had enough? I said. I put him kicking and screaming into a stroller. We've got to run some errands, I said. Poor Chester. I was racing him up on the sidewalk, and he was bumping around in a stroller, not knowing what was going on. I tried to go shopping, but I couldn't get the stroller into the dressing room. Then we went to the bank, and the stroller got stuck in the revolving door. I mean, how am I supposed to know that you're not supposed to put a stroller in a revolving door? We were trapped. Some man had to push us through, inch by inch. Finally, it was 8:30, or 11:30. I took him home and cooked him lunch, an egg. Later that night, Carrie called Mr. Big. She forgot about the time difference. He was sleeping. I just wanted to tell you, she said. I got my period. Oh, so no baby, he said. They hung up, but 2 minutes later he called back. I just remembered the dream I was having, he said. I dreamed we had a baby. A baby, Carrie asked. What kind of baby? A little tiny one, said Mr. Big. You know, a newborn, lying right here in the bed with us. Very interesting. Ugh. My eyes are hurting from looking at this too much. But anyway, you guys, that is the end of chapter 19. That is the end of tonight's chapter book reading. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Sex and the City series. Comment, let me know what you think. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to read 3 more chapters out of the book so that we can get through this book and begin on the Titanic series. So once again, I'm going to put that link of the Titanic advertisement video underneath this one. Be sure to check that out and make sure you guys let me know what you think about that. Alright, now it's time for our outro music, outro song. Thank you guys for watching, and good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Holla back.